Hello students, today we are going to read the poem on Killing a Tree by Gieve Patel. Let me start with a brief introduction of the poet. Gieve Patel is an Indian poet, a playwright, painter and a physician. He is a member of the Green Movement and is involved in protecting the environment. His poems speak of his deep concern for nature and expresses man's cruelty towards it. The title of the poem. As the title suggests, the poet here has given a vivid description of killing a tree from the beginning to the end. So now let's read the poem. On Killing a Tree by Gieve Patel. It takes much time to kill a tree. Not a simple jab of the knife will do it. It has grown slowly, consuming the earth, rising out of it, feeding upon its crust, absorbing years of sunlight, air, water, and out of its leprous hide, sprouting leaves. So hack and chop, but this alone won't do it. Not so much pain will do it. The bleeding bark will heal, and from close to the ground will rise curled green twigs, miniature boughs, which, if unchecked, will expand again to former size. So in these lines, we find the resilience of nature, the resilience of the tree as well, because you cannot kill it just by hacking it with an axe. It will sprout again, it will grow again. Now let us look at the next half of the poem. No, the root is to be pulled out of the anchoring earth. It is to be roped, tied, and pulled out, snapped out, or pulled out entirely. Out from the earth cave and the strength of the tree exposed. The source white and wet, the most sensitive hidden for years inside the earth. Then the matter of scorching and choking in sun and air, browning, hardening, twisting, withering, and then it is done. So in these lines, you see, it takes a lot of strength, it takes a lot of effort to finally pull out a tree from its root and kill it. It also shows the cruelty of man. Now let us look at some of the highlights of this poem. A tree is strong and majestic. As you can see in this picture, it's a beautiful, majestic, tall, strong tree. And how has it grown strong? The tree has grown strong by feeding from the earth's soil. It has also absorbed years of sunlight, air, and water. A mere stab of a knife will not kill a tree. The tree also has sprouted leaves from its leprous side. So it shows that it can regrow. It's the resilience of the tree. The phrase leprous hide refers to the discoloration on the bark of the tree. You will find that often the huge trees have discolored bark. So that has been compared to a leprous skin. Here we find a metaphor. The poet here compares the spots on the tree to the marks of a person suffering from leprosy. In this picture, as you can see, there are two gentlemen who are hacking and chopping off a tree. So one is free to cut a tree, but such an act will not kill a tree. The tree will heal from this hurt. How will it heal? It will regrow. It will grow new branches and grow back to its former size if left unchecked. For the tree to die, one must pull out its root. The earth sustains and protects the root. The root is the source and essence of the tree's strength. Yes, the tree is very strongly sourced and anchored inside the earth. So it is very, very difficult and needs a lot of effort and struggle to pull out a tree and to kill it. The root needs to be roped, tied, and then pulled out from its earth cave. Only then the source of the tree will be exposed. Once removed from the earth, the root must be left out in the open where the sun can burn it. Without moisture, the root will brown and harden, as you can see in this picture. Then it will twist and finally wither away, and then the killing of the tree will be complete. So a very inhuman side of mankind, a cruel side of mankind. The poet here is making a negative argument. Dear children, by telling the poem on killing a tree, the poet is not encouraging its readers to kill a tree. Rather, it is discouraging the readers by showing a very negative side and a disgusting side of killing the tree. So it is requesting the readers to save trees and not to cut down trees, not to engage in such barbaric work. In doing so, he is indirectly asking them to save trees. Now, learning a poem without knowing about its literary devices used makes the poem incomplete. So in this poem, there is no rhyme scheme. It is written in free verse, so there is no rhyme or rhythm. The next literary device used is enjambment. What is an enjambment? When one sentence continues into two or more lines. Not a simple jab of the knife will do it. It has grown slowly, consuming the earth, rising out of it, feeding upon its crust, absorbing years of sunlight, air, water, and out of its leprous hide, sprouting leaves, the most sensitive, hidden for years inside the earth. So as you can see, the first line, it has grown slowly, consuming the earth, does not end there. It then rolls to the second, and then it moves to the third, where it finally ends with a full stop. So the first sentence continues into the second and the third sentence. The next device used is metaphor, indirect comparison. Examples, leprous hide. The uneven color of the surface of the trunk is compared to the skin of a person who is suffering from leprosy. So there are two different things, a person suffering from leprosy and the discolored bark of a tree. They are two entirely different things, but the poet has shown a similarity between the two using the literary device metaphor. Similarly, bleeding bark, the sap coming out of the tree where it is cut, is compared to the bleeding from the wound in a human body. The next device is alliteration. What is an alliteration, children? It is a repetition of a consonant sound in two or more closely placed words. They may be next to each other or very closely placed in the sentence. For example, bleeding bark, you see there is a repetition of the sound B. Similarly, white and wet, there is a repetition of the sound W. The next one is repetition. What is a repetition? This device is used to lay emphasis. A word or a sentence is repeated to lay emphasis on it. Pulled out is repeated. If you have noticed, the second half of the poem had a mention of the word pulled out at several places. It is to show that how much strength it needs to pull out a tree from its source, from the earth. Now let us read the summary of the poem. On Killing a Tree is a sensitive poem. The poet persuades the reader not to destroy trees and equates it with killing a human being. He says that the tree takes sunlight, water, air, and nutrients from the soil to gradually become a tree. It develops a strong trunk and gets numerous leaves. Merely cutting the tree trunk does not kill it. When a tree is cut, the sap flows out just like a wounded man bleeds. Once the wound heals, new branches and tiny leaves grow from there, which grow into trees. In order to destroy a tree, it has to be uprooted. The roots, which are white in color and are damp due to the moisture that they get from the soil, are hidden in the pit of the earth. These roots are the most sensitive part of a tree as they bind it to the earth. In order to kill a tree, these roots have to be detached from the soil. Once the roots are detached, the tree starts dying. It withers, dries up with the action of heat and wind and twists, hardens, and finally dies.